The story introduces Hatsushima Seisi, a 15-year-old boy who had been living alone with his single father, Hatsushima Daiki. That is, until his dad decided to remarry, suddenly giving Seisi a new, non-blood-related family. For a normal guy like Seisi, he muses that living with three beautiful women isn't such a bad idea. He's introduced to his new stepmother and two stepsisters. However, Seisi's new life comes with two major problems. The first is that only 3 months after his marriage, his father passed away due to illness, leaving the four of them behind. The second problem reveals itself suddenly and bizarrely. As the family sits for a meal, their entire dining table is transported to a strange and alien-looking forest, leaving Seisi utterly bewildered. While Seisi tries to caution them against moving around freely, his new family completely ignores him and starts to wander off to explore the strange new world, much to his chagrin. Seisi internally lists the unbelievable qualities of his new family. His stepmother, Hatsushima Kane, is a super homemaker who also runs a company. His younger stepsister, Hatsushima Manako, is a 5-time national karate champion, a true heroine of justice. And the youngest sister, Hatsushima Hinana, may look like a little girl, but she's a genius little girl already admitted to a university. Compared to these three superhumans, Seisi feels like just a normal person who they never listen to. Seisi reflects that his only strong point is the intelligence he believes he inherited from his late father. Suddenly, a mysterious girl with animal ears and a staff appears, exclaiming that she has finally summoned them. The family is shocked, surprised that she speaks Japanese, and finding her appearance peculiar but cute. The summoner observes the group of four she has brought to her world, but her focus is clearly on the three girls. As if in response to the summoner's hopes, the three women begin to radiate a brilliant light, a sign of their latent power. The summoner believes that they are the strong familia who can defeat the threat. The moment is cut short as the summoner is violently grabbed by an unseen force. She screams at the family to run, warning them that they are in enemy territory, outside a protective barrier. The aftermath of the attack is shown, with a monstrous creature that grabbed the summoner now lying dead and dismembered, as a horrified Manako looks on. The danger isn't over. As Manako holds the injured summoner, another massive, skeletal monster appears behind them. Kane screams a warning to Manako. The summoner is brutally impaled by the monster's sharp limbs as she seemingly shields the others from the devastating attack. Groaning in agony, the impaled summoner looks up just in time to see another monster about to crush her from above. Enraged, Manako leaps into action, delivering a powerful kick that stops the monster's attack dead in its tracks, saving the summoner from being crushed. The summoner, barely hanging on, tells them it's useless. She urges them to run, explaining that she paid a high price to summon them, and they must not let it be in vain. Kane helps the injured girl while telling Manako to fall back. But it's too late. The family looks on in despair as the surrounding forest becomes filled with the silhouettes of countless more monsters, completely blocking their escape. Facing the horde, Manako stands defiant, angered by the appearance of so many grotesque creatures. Without hesitation, Manako charges into the fray, her body a whirlwind of motion as she single-handedly takes on the swarm of monsters. In the middle of the fight, Manako is caught off guard as her clothes are suddenly torn, suggesting the monsters have some kind of unusual ability. Despite her torn clothes, Manako declares her intention to make the monsters taste her fist. Her family, seeing her reckless charge, screams for her to stop and come back. But her reckless bravery isn't enough. The sheer number of monsters proves to be too much, and Manako is quickly overwhelmed, pinned down, and captured by the swarm, leaving her vulnerable. Now completely trapped and helpless, Manako is at the mercy of the creatures. They crawl over her as one gets terrifyingly close, remarking how delicious she smells and preparing to take a bite, setting the stage for a grim fate. Continuing from the last moment, Manako is completely overpowered by the swarm of monsters, screaming for them to stop as they crawl all over her. Seeing this, the severely injured summoner girl forces herself to stand. With a look of pure determination, she declares that she won't allow the monsters to succeed, as the family is her last hope. In a desperate act of sacrifice, the summoner girl presents herself to the monsters, taunting them. She says she has covered herself in their favorite golden sauce to draw their attention away from Manako. Her gambit works. The entire horde of creatures immediately abandons Manako and charges ferociously toward the summoner girl. The monsters descend upon the girl, brutally and mercilessly devouring her as she pays the ultimate price to save the family. Freed from the monster's grasp, Manako can only scream in frustration. The rest of the family watches in horror, with Kane covering young Hinana's eyes to shield her from the gruesome sight. Fueled by rage, Manako attempts to charge back into the fight, but Seisi grabs her, desperately pleading for her to stop. Seisi yells at Manako that she'll die if she goes back. He then turns to his stepmother Kane, asserting control and telling her that the only way to save the family now is to run. As if from beyond, Seisi hears the summoner's voice urging them to live on and run in a specific direction. Recognizing her voice, he realizes she bet everything on them and points the way for his family to escape. A massive explosion of light erupts from where the summoner stood. Her last words echo in their minds, "Please save this world." The family is horrified, realizing the explosion was a suicidal attack meant to give them a chance to escape. Kane grimly acknowledges that, for the moment, they are safe because of the girl's sacrifice. But their relief is short-lived. To their dismay, the monsters emerge from the flames and smoke of the explosion, still very much alive. With no other choice, the family runs for their lives. Seisi looks back in panic, seeing the monsters have sped up and are quickly catching up to them. Just as all hope seems lost, blasts of magic strike down the pursuing monsters. A group of female warriors, identified as the Black Mage Squad, has arrived to protect the people from another world. Caught in the middle of the chaotic battle, the family is knocked off their feet as magic flies past them. More soldiers arrive, quickly organizing their ranks. A shield squad moves into a defensive formation around the family, while a white mage begins chanting a supportive spell. On command, the swordsman squad also joins the fray, drawing their swords to engage the monster horde. A female commander leads the charge, ordering her troops to kill all the dead males. While the army fights, the family is ushered toward the fortified gate and told to retreat. From above, the sheer scale of the battle is revealed. A small army of soldiers holds back an endless sea of monsters as the family flees towards the safety of the fortress walls. The soldiers form a final defensive line at the entrance, preparing to seal the heavy gates behind the retreating family. As the gates slam shut, a powerful magic barrier activates across the entrance, instantly vaporizing the monsters that try to push through. Safely inside the fortress, the family watches as the soldiers regroup. Orders are given for the swordsmen and white mage squads to confirm everyone has retreated and to assist with healing. The commander of the army introduces herself to the family. She is Sugar Manish, the lord of this northern land's piranha stronghold and the captain of the swordsman battalion. After ensuring the family is safe, Sugar Manish turns to them with a somber expression. She asks about the girl who summoned them, her tone heavy as she confirms what she already seems to know, that the summoner is dead. Holding back tears, Sugar approaches Manako to apologize for her loss. In a stunning revelation, she explains that the girl who sacrificed herself was named Salsa Manish, and she was Sugar's own sister. Sugar explains that for her people, death is not a sad thing, but merely a journey to a place they call the garden. She believes her sister Salsu, having lost her own team, saw summoning the heroes as her final, honorable mission before starting her own journey there. She tells the family it is too soon to apologize. Instead, she implores them to honor Salsu's last wish, which echoed in their minds, to save this world by becoming the strongest familia or family of heroes. However, Kene steps forward, interrupting. While she understands the danger the monsters pose, she formally refuses their request. She states that as the current head of her household, her absolute top priority is to guarantee the safety of every member of her family. Looking Sugar straight in the eye, Kane says she cannot allow her family to be involved in such a dangerous war and firmly asks to be sent back to their own world. Sugar delivers a devastating blow to their hopes. It's impossible. She explains that the moment her sister Salsa died, the technique required to send them back home was lost along with her. Losing patience, Sugar suddenly grabs Sacy and holds a knife to his throat, exclaiming that they don't have time for debates. The monster population is growing, and the stronghold's protective barrier is nearing its limit. Despite the immediate danger, Sacy remains calm. He tells everyone to calm down and takes charge of the situation, asking Sugar to explain in detail what she expects from them. Sugar releases him, and Sacy presses for information, asking what exactly these things are that they are supposed to fight. With a grim expression, Sugar names their enemy, a relentless army of the undead known as the Dead Mel. She describes the Dead Mel as a mindless and evil army that cannot be communicated with, driven only by their base instincts to kill and destroy. Sacy processes the terrifying request. He then asks for clarification on the term familia. Sugar explains it refers to a group of 4 people, each with a specific ability, formed to fight the Dead Mel. Sugar lays out the 4 essential roles. The elite swordsman, who kills the Dead Mel with a holy silver sword. The shield guardian, with a body like steel. The black mage, who commands fire. And the white mage, who heals. Sacy immediately compares the setup to a standard party in an RPG. Sugar confirms the similarity, but stresses that the main responsibility of the other 3 is to protect the elite swordsman. More precisely, she clarifies, their job is to protect the holy silver sword itself. It is the only weapon that can kill the Dead Mel, making it even more valuable than their own lives. Now understanding the stakes, the family is told that they must choose their roles from these 4 options, based on their individual characteristics and strengths. With the roles explained, Sugar makes her final plea, asking them to honor her sister's sacrifice and become the strongest familia this world has ever seen. Kane questions why heroes must be summoned from another world. Sugar explains a local legend of past heroes who saved them, and as she speaks, a massive, specially prepared holy silver sword is presented to the family. Sugar observes the group, noting the extraordinary presence of the 3 women. However, she senses that Sacy is their leader and decides to speak with him about the process of making a pact with a spirit. For now, Sugar offers them a reprieve. She tells them food and a bath have been prepared so they can rest, assuring them she wouldn't have asked this of them if she thought they were incapable. But Sacy has one last question. Sacy looks around and asks why he can only see women everywhere he looks within the stronghold. With an intense and knowing gaze, Sugar gives a cryptic response, simply telling him that he will understand the answer soon enough. Later that evening, the women of the family take the opportunity to relax in a large, open-air bath. As they relax in the bath, Hinana brings up their new reality, noting that Manako seems invested in their quest. Manako confesses that her strong sense of justice makes her feel guilty about the idea of abandoning these people. Seeing an opening, Hinana asks if her sister plans to become the elite swordsman. Manako reveals she's been thinking about it differently. She proposes that she should take on the role of shield guardian. She reasons that with her superior reflexes, she's the only one truly suited for such a high-risk position where she can focus on protecting both herself and the others. Meanwhile, the genius Hinana considers her options. Seeing that both the black and white mage roles require significant brain power, she decides she should choose one of them, also finding the idea of making a pact with a spirit to be cool. Ultimately, however, both sisters agree to trust their stepmother, Kane, to make the final decision for them, believing she has never made a wrong choice when it comes to matters concerning the family. Sacy, blushing from his bath, exits only to find the girls walking past. He then runs into Kane in the hallway and asks if the discussion is over. She confirms it is, and says she wants to take a bath now herself. However, Sacy immediately senses her distress. Seeing the pained look on her face, he grabs her arm and asks if something is wrong. She tries to dismiss it, but sighs, remarking that he is truly his father's son. With a troubled and vulnerable expression, Kane admits that Sacy has an uncanny ability to always know when something is bothering her. Later, in a private room, Sacy directly asks Kane if she is troubled about becoming a familia. She quietly admits that no matter what, they cannot escape their fate as this world's last hope. Sacy tries to reassure her, telling her that the girls have already agreed to listen to his direction. But Kane explains that assigning roles isn't the problem. There's a much more difficult choice to be made. The horrifying truth is revealed. Kane explains that Salsu mentioned a price for the summoning ritual. The price to make a pact with the spirits is not a small one. The power granted by the spirits is equivalent to the price paid, and that price is a horrific sacrifice. Parts of your body, one of your senses, or even the remaining years of your life. Kane reveals the most shocking detail of all. For women, the body part that is typically traded to form a pact is their ovary. Sacy now understands the cryptic answer for before. The stronghold is filled with women because sacrificing an ovary doesn't create a disadvantage in battle, guaranteeing the success of the ritual, while men would be crippled. This is the ultimate decision Kane has to make. The weight of the decision crushes Kane. She realizes that to gain the power they need, she must choose to take away the most precious parts of 3 out of the 4 members of her new family. Sacy murmurs that it's a hard decision, but Kane explodes in anguish, yelling that she can't just choose anyone to make such a sacrifice. Sacy, however, tells her that he has an idea. Desperate and frantic, Kane grabs him, questioning if he truly understands the horrific gravity of the choice before them. Sacy calmly explains that ever since they arrived, he's felt useless. He sees his family as exceptional people who can save this world, but he sees himself as a normal, ability-less person who was summoned by mistake. He then confesses to Kane that he doesn't understand how his ordinary father could have married someone as amazing as her, implying she could have had anyone she wanted. Kane asks Sacy what kind of person he thinks she is. He replies without hesitation, calling her a beautiful woman, but also someone who can calmly make the best decisions regardless of the situation, like a queen. His perception of her as a strong, unwavering leader is too much for her to bear. Her facade crumbles, and she breaks down completely, weeping that she is nothing like that strong-willed woman he imagines. As Sacy holds her, she confesses that the only reason she could be strong was because of his father, Daiki, who was always by her side. He was the one who could tell when she was depressed and helped her thrive and overcome the regret from her hard decisions. Sobbing, she admits that now that he's gone, she feels hopeless and doesn't know how she can possibly make any more decisions. Sacy tries to comfort her, telling her everything will be all right. She clutches him, terrified of the risk and the choice she has to make for her children, pleading that they can definitely make it through this together. Sacy gently holds her face and empowers her. He tells her that she is the one who can make the best decision to protect their family. He takes the burden from her, promising that he will be the one to deliver the news, because the others won't listen to her, but they will listen to him. Stunned by how much his words and actions resemble his late father's, Kane looks at him with newfound hope. She asks him to give her the strength she needs. Overwhelmed by a torrent of emotion, grief, and need, Kane falls back onto the bed, her arms outstretched as she desperately pleads for Sacy to embrace her. Following her lead, Sacy comforts her, gently rubbing her head as she asked. In a moment of raw vulnerability and need, she draws him down into a deep, passionate kiss, seeking the strength and connection she has lost. He whispers back to her, calling her Kenneth for the first time. He reassures her not to worry, promising that he will be there to support her, giving her the strength to make the decision she needs to make. The next day, with newfound resolve, the family stands before Sugar Manish. Sugar asks Kane if they have come to a decision regarding the roles for their familia, offering to lend a hand if the choice was too difficult. Sugar specifically asks who among them will take the central role of the elite swordsman. With a calm and confident expression, Kane tells her not to worry, because everything has already been decided. In a bold and completely unexpected declaration, Kane announces that she, Manako, and Hinana will all become elite swordsmen. Sugar is enraged by this idiotic decision, reminding them they only possess one holy silver sword. Unfazed, Kane explains the sword was too big anyway, and presents a design to have it reforged into 3 smaller, custom-fit swords. Sugar's subordinate questions how they can fight without the balance of the other roles. As Sugar screams that their plan is impossible, Kane delivers the final part of her decision. The other 3 roles will all be taken on by Seisi alone. This, she declares, is the design of the Hatsushima familia, the strongest familia, and outsiders have no say in matter. And so, the Hatsushima family's fight to save this world officially begins. At that very moment, a massive tremor is felt as the stronghold's outer barrier is shattered by the relentless monster horde. With the barrier breached, Kane doesn't hesitate for a second. She leads the charge, yelling for her family to attack as the 3 newly minted sword women rush towards the invading monsters. Kane, Manako, and Hinana leap into battle, a formidable trio of elite swordswomen, ready to take on the dead Mel army head-on. Sugar and her soldiers can only watch in awe. They recognize the incredible power of the heroes from another world, but they also worry that in such an unbalanced party, the all-important swordsmen are at constant risk. Just as the women are about to be overwhelmed, a massive magical wall erupts, protecting them. The soldiers look on in shock as they realize it was Seisi, clad in a mysterious hooded robe. They marvel that he seems to be using attacking, enhancing, and healing magic all at once. As Seisi stands revealed, wielding the power of multiple roles, the onlookers are left with a final, chilling question. Who is Hatsushima Seisi really? And what unimaginable price did he have to pay to become the master of all the spirits? The scene opens with a tragic flashback. A red-haired elf named Soraralu is on the brink of death, surrounded by giant serpents. She laments that this is the end, her partner Manish having already fallen while being assaulted by the beasts. In her desperation, Soraralu recalls a great sacrifice made to protect others. This memory fuels her resolve, and she decides to summon people from another world to form the ultimate familia, a family of warriors to fight back. The scene flashes forward to the summoned heroes in the heat of battle. A group of powerful women, including a fierce blonde warrior Kureo and one with long dark hair named Kane, charge into the fray with a powerful war cry. The battle is intense. This is the power of the people from another world. But the fight is not without cost, as one of Soraralu's original companions shatters into pieces after taking a devastating blow. Despite it being their first time on a battlefield, the summoned heroes are incredibly effective. Kane gives out orders with precision, while the energetic Kureo leaps into combat, gleefully telling the monsters to die. They don't even stand a chance against her. From the sidelines, a hooded figure observes the battle. He notes the tactical genius of another summoned hero, the young Hinana, who wears a school uniform. She analyzes the enemy's movements in the middle of combat, realizing the smaller monsters are commanded by a medium-sized one. A brilliant light shines on the battlefield. The hooded man, Hatsushima Seisi, reveals himself, casting a powerful spell. For the desperate survivors, this light represents a newfound hope in their cruel world. The team works together flawlessly. Hinana pinpoints the large monster's weakness, and Kureo dashes in, ready to strike the designated spot. With a powerful cry, Kane follows up, launching herself into the air to deliver a devastating blow to the monster that Kureo has engaged. Kane's attack is a direct hit, striking the large monster squarely in its massive, singular eye, causing it to burst. The battle is won. The summoned heroes, Kane and Kureo, raise their swords in triumph, standing over the remains of the fallen monsters. Victory is theirs. After the fight, Seisi tends to the wounded Soraralu. He uses advanced healing magic, revealing his dual nature as both a white mage and the one who performed black magic earlier. He smiles, telling her the fight is over and it's fine. A joyous Soraralu addresses her people from a balcony. She declares their victory over a strong battalion of the Dead Mel a glorious milestone for the continent of Titania, giving all the thanks to the heroes who saved them. A grand feast is thrown to celebrate the heroes from another world. Everyone raises their glasses, ready to party and celebrate to their heart's content. The party is lively, with drinking, feasting, and celebration. One of the local fox-like demi-humans dances joyfully on the table, much to the amusement of the other guests. After the feast, Kureo and Kane are stuffed and satisfied. As they relax, they notice someone is missing and wonder where Seisi is gone. Meanwhile, Seisi stands alone atop the fortress walls, looking out at the vast landscape under the starry sky. He gazes towards the north, the direction from which the Dead Mel came, lost in thought. Soraralu finds Seisi and approaches him, asking for a moment of his time. He turns to her with a confident smile, asking what she thinks and if they can totally wipe the Dead Mel off this land. Soraralu formally introduces herself. She is the black mage that he saved, and her name is Cyril. She smiles at him, finally able to thank her savior properly. Cyril recognizes Seisi, noting that he is a black mage, a white mage, and a shield guardian, making him a celebrity of sorts. Seisi seems a bit flustered by the attention, musing that this is what they would call delusional in his world. Cyril tells Seisi that she has something to ask him. As a fellow black mage, she understands that the stronger the magic, the more powerful the spirit one must make a pact with. She wants to know the secret to his incredible power. She looks at him intently, noting that she has never seen anyone stronger. She directly asks him, what price did he really have to pay to achieve that power? Seisi avoids the question, suggesting Cyril go celebrate with the others. But she explains why she can't. She reveals the nature of pacts in this world, stating that women normally trade their ovaries to spirits, but that power is not enough to fight the Dead Mel's goons. Cyril reveals her own pact, making the concept of sacrifice disturbingly concrete. The price for stronger spirits is higher, she explains. And because she loves eating more than anything, she traded her own sense of taste for the power she wields. To put his power into perspective, she explains the spirit hierarchy, from the 8th rank flame carriage to the 1st rank spirit king. Her own fire spirit is only 8th rank, and the strongest black mage in history only ever managed a pact with the 3rd rank phoenix. The question hangs in the air, just what level of being did Seisi make a pact with, and what could he possibly have paid? Soraralu continues to press Seisi, desperate to know the price he paid for his power. She believes the power he displayed must belong to the 4th rank spirit, Emblem Knight, but notes he also has the magic of a white mage and a shield guardian. She insists she isn't asking for free and wants to become stronger. Things take an unexpected turn as Soraralu gets extremely forward. She offers to pay Seisi with an equal price and starts getting handsy, making him flustered. He panics, thinking girls like her normally dislike guys like him, but she assures him she's experienced and would be glad to serve him. Seisi, completely overwhelmed, tries to push her away, insisting that's not what he meant. However, Soraralu misinterprets his frantic resistance as excitement and provocatively suggests they should just go all the way. Just as the situation is about to escalate, a furious voice cuts through the air. It's a stepmother, Kane, who storms in and angrily demands to know what Seisi is doing. Seisi is shocked to be caught by his mom. Kane, addressing him formally as Elite Swordsman Sama, accuses him of scheming and sneaking out with a young girl. Both Seisi and Soraralu frantically deny any wrongdoing, with Seisi claiming he wasn't planning to do anything. Yet, Kane suddenly breaks down in tears, asking if Seisi only likes younger girls. Seisi is stunned to see her cry. In a drunken state, She asks if an auntie like her isn't allowed to get drunk too. Sacy decides the best course of action is to de-escalate. He excuses himself from Soraralu, telling her he has to take his intoxicated mom back to her room, chiding her for not being able to handle her drink. Later, Sacy looks over his new family. Kane, Koreo, and Hanan are all fast asleep in the same bed. He reflects on what a long and eventful day it has been. Just as he turns to leave, Kane, who is only pretending to be asleep, speaks up. She calls him a jerk and a perv, asking if he's fed up with older women like her. But then, her tone shifts, and she asks the same question Sorella did. What did you have to pay? Lying in bed, Kane presses on. She tells him he must have offered something important to gain his abilities and asks if he can finally tell her what it was. Sacy sits on the edge of the bed where his family sleeps. He tries to reassure his mom, telling her not to worry and dismissing his sacrifice as not really something important. Kane closes her eyes, not fully convinced by his answer. She quietly wonders to herself what important things Sacy could have possibly given up. As she drifts off to sleep, her mind is consumed with the question of Sacy's sacrifice, pondering just what it could have been. The scene flashes back, revealing Sacy's conversation with the spirits. They comment that everyone seems curious about what he traded for his power. Sacy reflects that everyone in his family treated him very well. The spirits note that his offer was unbelievable and nothing could surprise them after making the pact with him. The flashback continues, showing the moment of the pact making. A small, seemingly ordinary Sacy stands before three colossal and immensely powerful spirits in a ruined, otherworldly space. The spirits, a golem-like knight and a goddess of water, address the boy before them. They acknowledge that he is the one who wishes to single-handedly make a pact with all three of them. With a calm smile, Sacy introduces himself. The armored spirit makes it clear that while they agreed to a meeting, it doesn't guarantee a pact. They reveal it's been 600 years since someone from another world came before, and they're merely looking to kill some free time. The spirits get straight to the point, looking down on the human boy. They bluntly state that they have no interest in making a pact with him, declaring that he has no disposition or natural aptitude for their power. Unfazed by their rejection, Sacy smirks. He confidently counters their statement, claiming that even so, he is still of use to them. His unexpected response piques the interest of the ancient beings. With a knowing smile, Sacy reveals his unique selling proposition, the one thing a normal human boy can offer to timeless, immortal beings, the ability to kill time. Sacy lays out his flawless logic. He points out that the very fact they agreed to meet him just to kill time proves that they are incredibly bored. Therefore, he has a way to solve their problem. He throws his arms open, presenting his grand proposal with absolute confidence. He declares that all they need to do is make a pact with him, and they will no longer find their eternal existence boring anymore. The spirits are amused by his audacity. The armored knight lets out a laugh, admitting that things are getting more interesting. The water goddess concedes his point, noting that immortals like them are indeed sick of boredom, but they question what he can actually do for them. The spirits now pose the critical question, moving beyond his clever wordplay. They ask what he is truly willing to pay to relieve them of their eternal boredom. With a brilliant, unwavering smile, Sacy gives them his final, all-in offer, a price that is both everything and nothing, whatever you want. Sacy clarifies his offer. He tells the spirits they can take his limbs, his 5 senses, or his feelings. They can pick whatever they want and reside in the parts they choose. With him as their vessel, they can all start the journey to save the world together. The spirits are furious at the disgraceful proposition of becoming part of a mere human. They demand to know who he thinks he's talking to, but Sacy calmly retorts, calling them a bunch of loafers, which only enrages them further. Sacy presses his advantage, mocking the so-called great spirits. He points out that while people on the surface are fighting for their very lives, the spirits are hiding away, whining about how free and bored they are. Enraged by his insolence, the armored spirit king grabs Sacy, his grip like iron. He growls, calling the boy an insolent fool for daring to speak to them in such a manner. The spirit threatens to burn a puny being like him to ashes in an instant. But Seisi, caught in the crushing grip, just smirks completely unafraid. "Huh, you won't do that," he says with absolute certainty. Even while being threatened, Seisi continues his taunts. He repeats that since they are a bunch of loafers, they are great and worshipped by everyone, highlighting their inaction and hypocrisy. The spirits begin to burn him, and Seisi cries out in agony. Yet, through the pain, he calls their bluff. He points out that they threatened to turn him to ashes in an instant, but they haven't. He asks if his logic feels as hot as their flames. With unwavering eyes, Seisi forces the spirits to see the reality of the world they've ignored, a world filled with death and suffering. He declares that they cannot kill him because people's survival is not just a game. His conviction stuns them. The spirits realize he has seen through them. They are unable to kill this boy from another world, despite their immense power. Seisi smirks, stating that he believed in their greatness, and that's precisely why he came here. The water goddess concedes that Seisi is an interesting guy. She muses that with their endless lifespans, they must find ways to pass the time. As she speaks, Seisi's wounds vanish. She notes that he possesses something unique that no one else has. The goddess continues, admitting she has a feeling that a journey with him would be more than just killing time. She reveals they are aware of the world's peril and are waiting for the right person to make a pact with. Seisi enthusiastically replies, "That's great." Just as Seisi thinks he has succeeded, the goddess gives him a sly, cunning look. "No, not yet," she says, dashing his hopes. The spirits collectively deliver the bad news. To achieve their power, one must pay a price. They regret to inform him that his offered price of killing their time is nowhere near enough to trade for their powers. In short, the deal is off. Seisi feigns disappointment, muttering that his idea was useless after all. But then, a dark resolve appears in his eyes. He decides he has one last thing he can offer them, his body. His shocking new offer immediately captures the full attention of all three powerful spirits. They stare down at him, stunned into silence. The armored spirit leans in, its glowing eyes fixed on Seisi. It asks menacingly if he is truly aware of what he just said, offering his own body. The spirits question his motive. Why offer such a huge price? It's not even his world. Seisi then reveals his turning point, seeing a girl sacrifice herself to protect his family upon their arrival. He realized then that he could no longer live a shallow life and is now willing to trade everything of his, except for his most valuable possession. This new condition intrigues the spirits. What could possibly be more valuable than himself? Seizing the opportunity, Seisi makes a final bargain. Make a pact with him, and then he will tell them what it is. At this, the three great spirits burst into uproarious laughter. They declare him to be incredibly interesting, admitting it's been a long time since they had such a good laugh, their emotions having worn out from their immortal lives. The deal is on. They accept his pact. The spirits reveal their true names and titles. They're the Spirit King of Earth, Kenruga, the Spirit King of Fire, Melty-Ro, and the Spirit King of Water, Aquasphere. The pact is forged. As a symbol of their bond, Melty-Ro becomes his left eye, Aquasphere becomes his blood, and Kenruga becomes half of his body. Seisi is transformed, a streak of his hair turning white as he becomes the vessel for the three Spirit Kings. The flashback ends, returning to the present. Seisi, now with his pact-altered appearance, looks out over the fortress. He contemplates the unending war with the dead Mel, noting that a new army has already appeared just days after the last one was eliminated. Their breeding speed is a serious problem. He looks back at his sleeping family. He knows it will be hard to win with just his power, as the girls are the ones fighting directly. They have potential, but are not yet at their peak. A spirit's voice notes he already has a strategy for this, and Seisi confirms that it's time to use it. Seisi converses with his spirit companions, now visible as small, ethereal beings. He admits his strategy is somewhat incomplete as there's a lot to be done. but he has confirmed a few targets. It's time to set his plan in motion. As he looks upon his sleeping stepmother and stepsisters, Sacy reveals the core of his grand strategy. His ultimate goal is to turn his family into real savior gods. Early the next morning, Sacy walks through the fortress, discussing his grand plan with the spirits. They question how he intends to turn his family into gods. He explains that to achieve godhood, they must accomplish great deeds, a feat he believes will be easy for the three of them. Sacy peeks into the training yard and sees his sister Kureo sparring. A proud smile crosses his face as he notes that they all seem to be on the right track already. A crowd has gathered, cheering for the fighters. They are excited to see one of the people from another world, Kureo, challenging their supposedly unbeatable coach, the famous hard sword Jida, an expert in fighting the dead Mel. The spar begins and the crowd is stunned. Kureo's speed is perfectly matched with the veteran coach's, their blades clashing in a spectacular flurry of motion. The duel is fierce and evenly matched, with both Kureo and Jida displaying incredible skill and determination as they trade blows. Jida unleashes a powerful overhead strike, shouting, "Take this!" The crowd gasps, thinking the veteran coach is still way stronger and that the match is decided. Jida's powerful blow connects, sending Kureo flying backwards across the training ground, seemingly defeated by the force of the attack. But Kureo isn't done yet. She skillfully recovers and lands on her feet, a confident grin on her face. "Not that easy," she says, declaring she's getting serious now, and charges back into the fight. In a shocking display of power, Kureo uses her bare fist to shatter Jida's sword mid-swing. The coach can only stare in disbelief as her weapon breaks apart. Before Jida can even react to her broken sword, Kureo has already launched herself past her, taking out the other trainees in the background. "Your opponent is me," she yells, focusing all her attention on the coach. Jida is forced to concede defeat. Kureo stands victoriously over her, as the stunned crowd erupts into cheers, amazed by the awesome comeback. The other girls immediately flock to Kureo, asking her to teach them her ultimate move. Watching from a distance, Sacy notes how famous Kureo has become. His spirit companion comments that her beautiful martial arts style is sure to attract a large following. Sacy thinks about the rest of his family. His mom, Kane, has become a leader in charge of the fortress's defense, and his youngest sister, Hinana, is constantly inventing new weapons. He observes that his mother's fighting style is also a big draw for people. He reflects that even back in their old world, his family members were special. They were all naturally charismatic people who seemed to shine brightly, attracting everyone's attention. His spirit companions agree that turning them into savior gods isn't impossible. When they ask what role he will play in this grand plan, Sacy declares that he will become their shadow, doing the things they cannot and filling in their weaknesses. Later, a large carriage arrives at the fortress gates. Sacy and Sorarela watch its approach, with Sorarela commenting that the people of the stronghold seem to be trying hard. A boorish pigman merchant, Mandroko, addresses the crowd with arrogance. He praises their recent victory, but acts as though he is the one responsible. Sorarelu tells Sacy that this man is another one of their enemies. The scene shifts to a private room where the fox girl from the party is being forced to serve Mandroko. He taunts her, saying it's a shame to make her serve him during such busy hours as he pours himself a drink. Trying to maintain her composure, the fox girl asks Mandroko a favor, to quickly approve the deal to increase their supplies and grants as they had discussed earlier. In a cruel and humiliating act, Mandroko responds by pouring his glass of dark liquid all over the fox girl's head. With a menacing glare, Mandroko asks the dripping fox girl, whom he calls Sugar Queen, when she got the right to ask him for favors. He mocks her, questioning if it's because she won a single fight against the dead Mel. He reminds her of her people's place, people from a defeated kingdom. He sneers, asking who she has to thank for being spared from execution and being allowed to continue contributing to the world. Forced into submission, the fox girl puts on a smile and agrees that it's all thanks to the investors. Mandroko is pleased, telling her, "So you do know your position." Mandroko agrees to the supplies, but his generosity comes at a price. He grabs the terrified fox girl, announcing he'll be staying the night. He leers at her, noting with satisfaction how she's becoming more submissive compared to their first, more defiant encounter. As this disgusting scene of domination unfolds, the grim context becomes clear. Soraralu explains to a horrified Saisi that to continue fighting, they're dependent on money from investors like Mandroko. Saisi understands now. The low morale and lack of unity stem from their army being a collection of defeated kingdoms, forced to bow to their new masters. To make matters worse, Soraralu reveals the war against the Dead Mel isn't even officially announced, making their situation all the more precarious. Mandroko continues his assault on the fox girl, telling her they should have some fun before nightfall. Saisi watches, reflecting that the dynamic of the dominator and the dominated coexisting is the same as in his old world, making true unity impossible. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Kureo storms in, delivering a powerful kick that sends Mandroko flying away from the terrified fox girl. Soraralu explains that Kureo couldn't stand it and intervened. Saisi agrees that Mandroko's behavior is unacceptable. Soraralu adds that this kind of injustice is why the gods descended to save the world in the first place. Mandroko, furious and holding his bruised face, demands to know who the punk is that hit him. Kureo retorts that she has no idea who he is, calling him a pig. The fox girl begs Kureo to stop, reminding her that Mandroko is an important customer. The pig merchant threatens her, asking if she knows the consequences of making him unhappy, but Kureo flatly replies, "Nope." Kureo stands her ground defiantly, unimpressed by the fuming merchant. Mandroko curses her for being rude and disrespectful. Recognizing her as one of the people from another world, Mandroko changes his mind. He declares that there will be no more supplies for them and storms out. As he leaves, Mandroko issues a vile ultimatum. If they want their supplies, they must bring the girl, Kureo, to his room tonight. Soraralu tries to protest, arguing that Kureo is one of the heroes who defeated the Dead Mel. But Mandroko silences her, sneering that one has to show good intention before begging for something. He then slams the door shut. The fox girls apologize to Kureo for the ugly scene, but she tells them it's all right. They warn her that they'll all be in serious trouble now, but Kureo calmly says they don't have to do as he said. With quiet determination, Kureo makes a decision. "I will go in your place," she tells the fox girl. From a distance, Saisi watches, noting to himself that the bad girl version of Naysan is getting on stage. Later that night, Saisi intercepts Kureo as she's about to leave. "I knew it," he says, confirming that she was planning to go see Mandroko. Kureo tries to justify her actions, saying it's her responsibility and that helping others isn't a bad thing. Saisi sighs, pointing out her consistent tendency to sacrifice herself for others. He tells her she's the same no matter what world she's in. He reminds her of the time back home when she fought the head of a street gang all by herself to save a friend, saying it's the exact same situation now. Kureo recalls beating the gang to a pulp, but Saisi warns her that it's not that simple this time. He bluntly asks if a 17-year-old virgin like her is truly aware of what's going to happen next. She retorts that she's fully aware, but Saisi tells her she isn't. He explains that her courage to charge forward comes from her ignorance of what it truly means to be in that situation. Saisi decides on a drastic course of action, believing she won't understand how ruthless this world is without getting hurt first. He locks Kureo inside a room, physically preventing her from going to Mandroko. Taking her place, Saisi arrives at Mandroko's room. The merchant is surprised to see a man, but Saisi, playing the part of Kureo, makes an excuse that his worried brother might barge in. The disguised Saisi then suggests that they move to another, more private place. Mandroko leads the disguised Saisi to the top of the South Tower, a secluded spot where he gleefully notes that nobody will be able to interfere with them. The merchant laughs, excited by the prospect of having a virgin. Saisi, still in character as Kureo, plays along shyly, saying he's inexperienced and will follow the merchant's lead. Mandroko tells him to take his clothes off first. Seisi removes his clothes, revealing an illusory but beautiful and feminine body. Mandroko, completely fooled and aroused, tells him to lie down. Lying amongst the flowers on the tower's roof, the disguised Seisi looks up and calmly says, "Take your hands off." Mandroko laughs maniacally and lunges, beginning his assault on who he believes to be Kureo. As Mandroko gropes and licks the disguised Seisi, a furious voice yells, "Stop it!" revealing that the real Kureo has somehow arrived on the scene. Mandroko pauses, confused. The person beneath him isn't screaming in fear, but in manic excitement. "I'm about to get serious now. I'm coming," the voice cries, completely throwing the merchant off. Before Mandroko can process what's happening, a foot slams into his face, sending him flying. It's Seisi, the illusion of Kureo now gone. "That's right," he says with a dark smile. "This is about to get much more exciting." Seisi stands over the terrified merchant, revealing the deception. He asks what Mandroko thinks of the clay doll he made, then gives him two options. 1. Have the supply delivered here immediately. Or 2. Seisi continues, "Die here mysteriously." He explains he can create a doll version of Mandroko and order it to deliver the supplies. Mandroko protests, saying his magic would be detected, but Seisi is not concerned. In a terrifying display of power, Seisi reveals the source of his confidence. The immense, ghostly figures of the three spirit kings loom behind him, their power radiating as they stare down at the insignificant merchant. With a chilling smile, Seisi taunts the whimpering merchant. He tells him he should be pleased he only had fun with a fake doll, and adds a piece of advice. Being a sex addict is not good for one's health. The next day, a massive wagon of supplies arrives, much to the crowd's delight. A new reptilian merchant announces that the previous investor has quit and that he will be in charge from now on. Watching from afar, Seisi reflects that this incident allowed him to see his family's weakness. Seisi thinks about his family's nature. Kureo wakes up confused in her own bed, with Kane and Hinana checking on her. The spirits observe that while the girls can attract people with their kindness, they lack the ruthlessness to get rid of obstacles in their path. Seisi agrees with their assessment. He reaffirms his role as their shadow, the one who will clear their path for them. He declares, "That's why I will become the person to clear their way, as I have always been walking on that road." The story sets a stark contrast. On one side stands Seisi, cloaked and armed, declaring his intention to walk a path of darkness to help from the shadows. On the other side, his companions Sugar, Hina, and Ako are presented as the true saviors of the world, destined to walk the bright road of justice. This path of justice involves gathering the strongest forces, a diverse army united against a common enemy, overcoming all prejudice of race and status. Their single, focused goal, to wipe out all the monstrous creatures known as the Dead Mells. Meanwhile, Seisi discusses this very plan with his subordinate, Makamoku. He understands their goal, but notes that if they lack strength, they must simply create it. However, he questions if the Dead Mells will patiently wait for them to become strong enough. The scene brutally shifts to a forest, proving Seisi's point. The Dead Mells are not waiting. A village of beastmen is under attack, and the defenders are overwhelmed. A young beastman named Wolt screams as the monsters descend upon them. The battle is a massacre. Wolt fights desperately but is quickly overpowered, the monster's claws and teeth tearing into him as he screams in agony. As Wolt cries out in despair, his companion, Tiena, is also swarmed by the ghoulish creatures, her struggle silenced by the sheer number of attackers. Wolt's hand falls limp as a horrific creature with a gaping smile drags his broken body across the forest floor. The grim result of the battle is shown. Wolt and Tiena lie lifeless on the ground, the victorious Dead Mells standing over their defeated forms. The scale of the threat is immense. Under the light of the full moon, swarms of monsters blot out the sky and cover the land, a tide of death sweeping through the forest. This terrifying horde marches relentlessly onward, their destination clear, the fortress of Toride, where Seise's allies are based. In a strange turn of events, the spirit of Wolt, now freed from his body, happily greets Seise, calling him master. Seise, his hair now partially white, calmly thanks him for his efforts, as the lifeless bodies of Wolt and Tiana are seen in the distance. Later, Seise discusses his powers with the spirit Hina. She explains that the brick dolls he created are a new form of magic he unknowingly invented, something close to a Toride, or fortress. Hina elaborates that her puppet magic, originally derived from earth magic, can only perform basic orders. But by combining it with her fire and water magic, Seise has enhanced them, giving them more lifelike and detailed actions, effectively creating a new kind of magic. Makamoko points out that no one in this world has ever thought of mixing magic from different elements, because it is deemed evil. However, for Seise, who is already on the road of darkness, such a concept is easy to accept and implement. The origin of Seise's pragmatic philosophy is revealed in a conversation with a man named Osang. Osang quotes his late father, who taught that for normal people to survive, they have to use everything they have. Seeing the urgency, he asks Seise what he plans to do. Seise responds with a confident smirk, agreeing that he is just a normal person and will use everything at his disposal. He adds that his good judgment of people is one of his key assets, hinting at the strategic scheming to come. The next day, crisis strikes. The beast woman Lyko bursts into the room in a panic, holding an emergency message from the capital for their leader, Sugar. Lyko frantically runs to Sugar, asking what has happened while holding out the urgent message. The other members, including Seise, look on with concern. With a grim expression, Lyko reveals the contents of the message. It is an official warrant to arrest the people from another world. They are now regarded as criminals. When Lyko questions the reason, Ms. Elgar immediately connects it to the incident with the perverted pig investor from the other day, which angers Akeo. Hina explodes in anger, shouting that she was the one who hit and threatened the investor, not the whole group. Lyko adds that the investor must have exaggerated the story to the higher-ups, as the incident has unbelievably reached the king himself. The group is in a bind. The warrant only demands they come to the capital for punishment. Lyko laments their terrible timing, as it is now impossible to ask the kingdom's army for help against the dead Mels. As panic sets in, Ms. Elgar turns to Seise for a solution. He calmly reassures them, stating that he has a plan and will take care of it. He declares his intent to go to the capital by himself and force them to lift the charges. Seise explains his strategy further. The trip to the capital will not only solve the arrest warrant, but also serve as an opportunity to bring reinforcements to the fortress of Toride, killing two birds with one stone. It's then revealed that this was all part of Seise's grand design. He had predicted that the arrogant investor was backed by powerful figures, and he used the inevitable intervention from the king as a pretext. It created the perfect opportunity for him, a supposed convict, to travel to the capital and gain access to the kingdom's strongest army. He expresses to his spirits that he isn't worried at all. Seise continues explaining his confidence, stating that he isn't worried. He knows that the head of the kingdom, King Zale, is an excellent person, a fact that plays a crucial role in his scheme. This, too, is a lesson he learned from his father. He reveals his core principle of manipulation to his spirits. Regardless of one's power, any living being with feelings will definitely have a weakness. His spirits begin to sense something fishy about his claims of being a normal guy. Now fully prepared for his journey, Seise reflects that since becoming more confident in his judgment, his ability to persuade people has also gotten much better, a skill he once again credits to his father's teachings. As Seise stands on a shimmering magic circle, preparing to depart for the capital, his spirits voice their complete faith in him, acknowledging that in the end, he managed to persuade all of them as well. The scene shifts to the magnificent capital city of Saifan. Inside the castle, King Zael Sifan sits on his throne as a guard rushes in to report an urgent matter. The guard reports that a man claiming to be from another world has arrived from the direction of Toride. More shockingly, he is accompanied by a massive, fearsome dragon-like monster. The king is perplexed. It hasn't even been a day since he sent out the arrest warrant for 4 people. Yet only one has shown up, and he arrived by riding a powerful summoned monster. This lone man has even asked for a direct audience with the king. And pig-faced minister urgently advises the king against meeting Saisi, warning that anyone who would come alone like this must be dangerous and plotting something. However, the king's wife, the beautiful Lady Shira Sifan, expresses her curiosity. She tells the king she wants to see what kind of person this is, and her influence is enough for the king to overrule his minister and grant the audience. Saisi is brought before the royal couple. With a confident smile, he thanks them for having him and introduces himself as Hatsushima Saisi, a man from another world, before stating that he has a favor to ask. 1 week later, back at the fortress of Toride, the defenders have heard nothing from Saisi. Anxiety is growing, fueled by a rumor that Saisi was disrespectful to the king and was thrown into jail. With their time up and no sign of the promised reinforcements, Sugar looks on with grim determination, telling her comrades that they have no choice but to fight the impending battle themselves. From the fortress walls, the defenders look on in horror. A massive army of dead males has completely surrounded Toride, leaving them with no way out. Taking command, the beast woman Lyko rallies the troops, ordering all familias to prepare for battle and follow her lead as the dead males begin their charge. The battle for Toride begins. The shield-bearing defenders clash with a monstrous horde in a desperate and chaotic struggle for survival. The heroines fight with all their might. Sugar, Hina, Akeo, and the others cut through the enemy ranks, determined to do their best even without Saisi by their side. Despite their bravery, the defenders are being torn apart. Lyko is swarmed and bitten, her screams of agony echoing the brutal reality of the battle. Breathing heavily, Sugar realizes the situation is dire. Their strategies aren't enough to handle the sheer number of monsters. As she worries they'll all be killed, Akeo screams in terror as another monster lunges at Hina. Suddenly, a holy silver spear carrying the Sifan banner smashes through the battlefield, obliterating a line of dead males. The defenders look on in shock, wondering where it came from. It's the king's army. Reinforcements have finally arrived. A relieved Sugar realizes that Saisi has succeeded. The army's commander ignores a soldier's offer of thanks and orders his proud troops to charge and wipe out all the dead males. However, the commander confronts Sugar, bellowing with fury that his army is only here because of the threat made by that man, Hatsushima Saisi. The commander relays the outrageous story that forced his hand. He explains that Saisi, a supposed coward, somehow snatched the beloved queen away from the king and eloped with her. He then threatened the king, stating that the only way to get the queen back was to send reinforcements to Toride. The narrative flashes back to Saisi's spirits, who are reflecting on his nature. They muse that while they initially thought he was just a persuasive and interesting person, they now see he is not normal at all, but a truly special individual. The scene provides a shocking confirmation, showing Saisi in bed with the queen, revealing his method of persuasion. Elsewhere, Osang wonders what kind of person the father of such a talented man must be. Back on the battlefield, the defenders listen in stunned silence as the soldiers continue to gossip about the unbelievable rumor that Saisi ran away with the queen and blackmailed the king to save them. On the battlefield, Sugar vehemently denies the rumor. "That can't be true," she yells, arguing that there's no way Saisi would lay his hands on a married woman. She reasons that if he was going to do something like that, he would have come for her first. She turns to Hina for support, but the usually stoic girl is left flustered and speechless. The scene reveals the cruel truth. In bed, the queen calls Saisi a cruel man, questioning how he can be with her while his family is out there fighting for their lives, believing in him. Saisi simply whispers back that her touch feels too good, completely unfazed. As Sacy holds the queen, he tells her to forget everything for now and just indulge herself in his body. A close-up on his cold, determined eye shows that as long as his plan is working, everything is fine. Back on the battlefield, the army commander addresses Sugar. He tells her that if these were times of peace, he would have complained long and loud about the trouble the otherworlders have caused. However, these are times of war. Sugar and the commander agree that their grievances will have to wait until after they survive the current onslaught. They ready their weapons to fight side by side. The defenders of Toride and the king's army charge forward as one, a united front clashing with the tide of grotesque dead males. The heroines support each other in the chaos. One of the girls, Manako, vows to do her best in Sacy's place, which another warrior says will be a great help. Hina tells Manako not to push herself and offers to provide cover. The battle is ferocious and bloody. A soldier screams for help as he's swarmed by monsters. The commander saves him, telling him to retreat, only to be caught off guard and ambushed by another creature. Without hesitation, Sugar leaps to the commander's aid, dispatching the monster that had attacked him with a powerful sword strike. The commander is surprised, admitting that for a group that was threatened to be here, they are fighting with impressive courage. But even so, the number of enemies is overwhelming. Spotting an important-looking leader-type monster at the back, he orders his troops to open up a path. The commander quickly organizes his elite units, ordering the black and white mages to ready their magic while the elite swordsman squad moves to the front. Following his command, the mages begin to chant, imbuing the swordsman's weapons with powerful magical energy. The enchanted soldiers execute a great lance rush, charging forward as a single unit, their empowered weapons tearing through the dead male horde. To deal with the swarms of smaller flying monsters, a soldier in samurai-style armor unleashes a special throwing technique. The thrown projectiles explode like shrapnel in the air, shredding the flying swarm and clearing the skies. With the path clear, the commander directs the assault on the large insectoid leader. He tells Hina to leave it to him and signals for the attack to begin as Hina leaps into the air. Hina unleashes a devastating wave of dark energy from her sword, slicing the massive insectoid monster and the enemies behind it clean in two. With their leader destroyed, the will of the dead male army breaks, and the remaining creatures begin to scatter and flee in a full retreat. The battle is finally over. The exhausted defenders look out over the field of dead monsters, realizing with immense relief that they have survived as the enemy retreats. In the aftermath, the commander assesses the damage. He orders the magic squad to restore the fort's defensive barrier. A subordinate reports that while there weren't many casualties, a large number of soldiers are wounded. The commander informs Sugar that it would be difficult to return to the capital right now and formally thanks her for her help. But Sugar confronts him, stating that she finds his story about Sacy hard to believe, and even if it's true, he has made a horrible mess of things. With a fierce glare, Sugar tells the commander what she believes the real problem is, that his people must have intended to lend their power without a threat. She accuses him of negligence, arguing that the dead males are the common enemy of all humanity. To have such a powerful army and not use it to help others fight this universal threat, she says, is nothing short of a dereliction of duty. The commander patiently counters her argument. He explains that as the leader of the northernmost country of Saifan, which borders the Deadmel territory, he is more aware than anyone of the threat. It is precisely for this reason that he must keep his strongest forces prepared to defend the north. He looks at her with the weariness of a veteran leader, stating that this is why he couldn't just send his troops away on a whim. His primary responsibility is the defense of his own territory. Without a truly compelling reason, like Sacy's outrageous threat, moving his army was simply impossible. The commander gives a grim history lesson. The last great war against the Deadmels was 600 years ago, a time when all races fought together. But he says that 600 years is enough time for people to forget such a great cause. The world has since split apart, and the other countries would never let his army pass through their lands peacefully. He declares that humanity's greatest threat is now humanity itself. This is the reason the royal army could not move against the Deadmels, and why their revival could not be made public knowledge. He spells out the harsh reality. If the royal army were to leave, showing any weakness, their country would be immediately invaded by other human nations, all eager to claim their land and resources. The commander paints a horrific picture of the consequences. If the capital were attacked while the army was away, the cities would be burned, the men killed, the women ravaged, and the king himself would be beheaded. The country of Sifan would fall. It is this terrible possibility that has forced his hand. Kane states that the things human enemies do are no different from the Deadmel. In fact, she thinks that since humans can understand each other, it's even worse. Hanana agrees with Kane, saying that it probably won't happen. From a distance, another person asks why she was able to say that, addressing her as the younger otherworldly girl, Hanana. She replies that it's because Saisi said so before leaving for the capital. The captain, a man with a distinct helmet and mustache, is shocked to hear that Hatsushima Saisi said that, as Kane looks on with a worried expression. Suddenly, a guard rushes in, declaring an emergency. The captain, annoyed, curses that the very thing they said wouldn't happen has already begun. He reveals that the neighboring country of Daba has started its invasion. Hanana looks on, concerned, as the captain explains that Daba is a country of savages. The captain decisively orders his troops. He declares that they have no choice but to return with those who are able to move. His soldiers acknowledge the command and prepare to move out. The scene flashes back to a conversation between Saisi and Hanana. Saisi asks Hanana if he failed. He then asks for a favor, explaining that he plans to go to the capital to do something reckless, using a dirty trick. Hanana is taken aback by his mention of being reckless. Saisi continues, telling Hanana that if he fails, he wants her to say that he has always been a bad person and to cut him off from the family. Saisi clarifies that if he messes up, everyone in the family will be treated as bad people. Hanana, confused and concerned, asks why he is telling her something so important. Saisi smiles, explaining that it's because she alone had figured out their father's hidden side. Saisi elaborates, reminding Hanana that she was against her mother Kane's marriage to his father and glared at him from their first meeting, never even calling him dad. He pats her head, calling her a genius for being able to figure out what people are hiding. As they walk away, Saisi explains that this is why he decided to talk to her alone. He trusts her to judge the good and evil of his father's hidden side and, by extension, to judge him in an objective manner. Saisi states that basically, Hanana doesn't really like him that much. Because of this, he thinks she would be able to make the decision to cut him off from the family if needed. Hanana becomes flustered, blushing and denying it. She admits that it's true she hated Taiki, but she never said anything about Saisi. Still flustered and blushing, Hanana averts her gaze and agrees to his request, clenching the hem of her skirt. Hanana turns back to Saisi with a determined look, pointing at him. She declares that she won't be cutting him off that easily because their sisters would get sad. She tells him to get it, calling him Sasanai-chan. The scene returns to the present. Amidst the chaos of the moving army, Hanana worries about Saisi, wondering if he will really become the bad guy at this rate. Below, the monstrous claws of the Daba army's beasts are shown. From a high vantage point, Saisi looks down at the massive invading Daba army, estimating their numbers to be about 20,000. Saisi resolves to act, stating that otherwise, he'll just end up being a massive criminal. He feels it's time to put the finishing touches on his strategy, despite the enemy numbers being larger than expected. Saisi begins to cast a powerful spell. He explains that his power can destroy the Deadmel, but there's a way to do it against humans too. He decides to go all out, not minding the strain on his body. He plans to use magic synthesis again. Kinruga-sama will summon a supermassive boulder, Melturo-sama will put Hellblaze on it, and Aquihur-sama will summon thunderclouds. He decides to name this new magic. With a manic grin, Saisi unleashes his ultimate attack, Nova Meteor, sending a gigantic, lightning-wreathed meteor hurtling towards the enemy army. Back at the fortress, The guard from before reports another emergency to the captain. He announces that the invading Daba army of 20,000 was defeated in an instant and is now retreating. The captain and his group look on in utter disbelief. Hinana, adjusting her glasses with a smug smile, says, "See, that's why I told you. That won't happen." Meanwhile, the Daba army is in full retreat. Their commander wonders what in the world happened, recounting that while they were absent, the savage country of Daba began invading, but not even hours after that report, they were told the army was sent fleeing. The retreating Daba soldiers look upon a massive, smoldering crater carved into the landscape. Their commander, baffled, questions who could possibly have done this and wonders if this giant hole is the result of the attack that routed them. The scene shifts to an empty, rustic room as a voice narrates. To understand how events reached this point, and to answer the question of who could do such a thing, it would be necessary to go back a little while in time. The story flashes back to when Hatsushima Seisei first managed to get an audience with the king. Kneeling in the throne room, Seisei introduces himself as an otherworlder and, with a confident smirk, immediately makes a proposal. King Zail Saifan, a regal old man on the throne beside his queen, is intrigued and bids him to speak. Seisei confidently asks the king to lend him his troops to subjugate the dead Mel. One of the king's ministers questions Seisei, noting that the royal army is pivotal to protecting the country. Seisei smirks, stating that of course he will have some adequate compensation. King Zail Saifan counters that if Seisei is demanding compensation, then it is a demand and not a proposal. Queen Shiria Saifan, a beautiful woman in an intricate headdress, asks if he means any wish. The king declares he will grant Seisei a single wish, no matter what it is. Seisei rises, acknowledging this is like a deal with the devil. He claims he is just an ordinary man, but because of that, when he does something, he has no room for failure. With a chillingly confident smile, Seisei declares that he will reach his objective by any means necessary. Seisei stands tall, asking the court if they would like to test him. The queen questions if his words are a threat, while a minister scoffs at what a single kid could possibly do. Seisei thinks to himself, asking if they are doing it, and decides that they are, depending on the circumstances. The king raises his hand and orders a stop. He tells Seisei that he understands what he is saying. A large force of deadmel are approaching the northern fortress, and to fight them off, Seisei requires the power of the royal army. Seisei agrees, adding that the deadmel are a common enemy of humanity, so it shouldn't be a strange request. The king smirks, confirming that Seisei is implying there's no telling what he'll do if they don't meet his demands. The king explains that unfortunately, they have no room for failure. He lists the nation's many enemies. The neighboring country Daba, where savage tribes nest, the nation of magic, Reiknal, with their suspicious experiments, and Himselt, riding on primeval beasts. Looking at a map, the king explains that there are many other forces, small and large, looking to rule over this world. Everyone is holding each other back. The king tells Seisei that as an otherworlder and a child, he would not understand the difficult and complex nature of this world. He states that they cannot live without prioritizing some things over others. Seisei questions if this means the people left to fight in the fortress are of low priority. The queen agrees. The king declares that as king, he must first and foremost protect the citizens of the royal capital, as well as their property and wealth. He states that like Seisei, he has no room for failure when it comes to protecting those things. The guards immediately point their spears at Seisei, who stands unflinching. He calmly states that he, too, will protect those things by any means necessary. Seisei smirks, telling His Majesty that he'll still lose everything in the end if the dead Mel aren't stopped. He then issues a chilling threat. He will have the magic barrier around the fortress go out of control. A pig-faced man named Mandroko declares Seisei is as rude and dangerous as the report said, and orders him captured. Seisei's threat is visualized. The magic barrier's explosion would cause the fortress and the surrounding area to be annihilated. The king remains composed, stating that this would buy them some time to think of what to do next. Seisei, now surrounded by spears, is shocked to hear that the king considers the death of everyone in the fort to be merely unfortunate. The king coldly states that what Sacy suggests is fine, as the people deployed at the fortress have few who would mourn their deaths. Sacy looks stunned by this revelation. A dark, manic grin spreads across Sacy's face as he is believed. He realizes that with the king's blessing, going all out won't hurt his conscience. The king orders Sacy to be captured quickly. The queen looks on with a mix of shock and intrigue. As guards advance, Sacy smirks at the queen, telling her it's fine because he has already planted a seed. Sacy is shown sitting calmly in a prison cell, surrounded by small spirits. A rat scurries past. The spirits ask him what he's waiting for, noting that if he wanted to, he could get out right away. Sacy explains that he is waiting for the seed he planted to come to him. He recalls how someone's eyes lit up when he said, "I will grant any wish." Just then, he senses footsteps approaching and remarks, "See, looks like they're here." Queen Shiria's Saifan appears outside his cell. She asks if he was telling the truth about being an otherworlder. She notes that he's stuck in the cell, but if she can have the royal army dispatched to the fort, she will grant him a single wish. She adds that the person connected to her in various ways is the only one who can get him out, herself. The queen asks if he is only going to grant her one wish in exchange for dispatching the army and letting him out. Sacy calls her a greedy person, but admits that's exactly what he had expected. Sacy corrects her, saying he will grant 2 wishes, no 3. The queen is confused, stating she's fine with 2, but Sacy insists that in a little while, she will make a 3rd wish. The queen, intrigued, holds up a key. She remarks that it's just as she thought. He really is an interesting man. She agrees to his deal. As Queen Shiria's unlocks the cell, she asks for Sacy's 1st wish. He states that while the royal army is away, he will not let a single enemy invade this country. The queen then asks for his 2nd wish, to which he replies that she must protect the country. The queen asks if her wish is too much for him. Sacy confirms it is just as he expected. This person is greedy. He agrees that with a little time, he will grant that wish as well, to make her the queen of this world. She then asks him a question. Stepping out of the cell, Sacy corners the queen against a wall, startling her. He asks why she decided to have him grant that wish. Sacy points out that her husband is this country's king, and if that king manages to rule the world, she would inevitably become queen of the world. He asks if it wouldn't be more realistic to ask the king rather than a suspicious man like him. The queen replies that she is quite confident in her eyes for men. The queen explains that as proof, when people were fighting for the crown, the current king was said to have the lowest chance of winning. She chose to be with him then. She states that for better or worse, he was someone who had the ability to be the king, but his hands are now full with just trying to protect the citizens. He's exactly the man he says he is. Sacy leans in close, asking if she's saying that he has that same ability to grant her wish. The queen coyly says she doesn't know about that, but notes that when Sacy threatened them at the very end, she felt the same way she did back then. She adds that her heart began to throb, just like when she first met the king. Sacy smiles, commenting on her doable reaction and complimenting her beautiful eyes. The queen then asks how he plans to get the king to dispatch his troops, and Sacy says he's thinking of asking him like he normally would. Sacy leans in to kiss the queen, proposing a more surefire method. She asks what kind of method it is. He whispers, "It's simple. I steal you." Sacy caresses the queen's chest, explaining that if the king is obsessed with her, he should listen to whatever Sacy says in order to steal her back. The queen, flustered and aroused, agrees that will certainly happen. The queen asks if she should just pretend to be stolen. Sacy replies that she can do whichever she likes, act or be serious. He then challenges her, asking if she would like to test him and if he would even be able to make her serious. Sacy passionately kisses the queen, accepting her challenge by saying gladly. The spirits watching from the cell are shocked by this turn of events. The intimate moment continues, with close-ups of Sacy's hand on the queen's breast and their lips touching, highlighting the intensity of the seduction. The queen gasps in pleasure as Sacy continues to kiss and caress her. She asks him to touch her down there as well, to which he replies, "With pleasure." Seisi recalls the two things he learned from his also-average father. The first was that for ordinary, average people to live, they need to use anything and everything they can. The scene shows the queen in a state of ecstasy as Seisi reveals the second thing he learned from his father: how to pleasure women. He thinks to himself that his other name is Sasenai. The queen, completely enthralled, reaches for Seisi, begging him to make her feel even hotter and to make her serious. The consequences of Seisi's actions begin. In a castle at night, the captain furiously demands to know why there was a sudden decision to dispatch soldiers to the fort. The king explains to his court that Cirrus, Shirias, has been stolen by that man. He says that since they supported him even before he became king, he cannot simply throw the queen aside. A minister notes that unless the information leaks, other countries shouldn't invade immediately, but they still need to be able to protect the citizens. However, the information does leak. The Daba army takes the opportunity, believing that with Saifan's royal army gone, they'll be able to conquer the place easily. The savage Daba army charges, with their leaders planning to ask for a position of power in Daba after Saifan falls. They give brutal orders to kill the men and rape the women. Suddenly, their commander looks up, wondering why the sun just got shadowed out and what the noise from above is. The Daba army looks up in terror at the cause of the shadow, a massive, lightning-wreathed meteor, Seisi's Nova meteor, descending from the sky. The Nova meteor crashes into the ground with devastating force, creating a massive explosion. The flashback concludes. Seisi stands on the ravaged battlefield, exhausted but triumphant. He explains that this is how he sent the royal army to Piranha Fort and protected Saifan from the Daba army. Now, the only problem is what to do with the hatred he's received from the king and the army. Returning to the present, the queen approaches Seisi on the ravaged battlefield, asking if that was his true power. He deflects, saying it's a secret, though he could have done it with less. Completely captivated, the queen reminds him that she still has her third wish to make. Embracing him, the queen declares that she is already completely serious for him, in both heart and body. She makes her third wish: make me completely yours. This total devotion sparks a deeper curiosity within her, a need to understand the man who so easily captured her. Seisi reflects on the remaining problem, thinking that if he just asks the queen, she should be able to grant his wish for him. The queen agrees, saying that as promised, she will grant any wish of his. She then asks him to tell her who he is, not the person who taught him those skills, but who his father is. The scene flashes back to Seisi's father, a man with prominent tattoos, sitting in bed with a woman. Seisi's voice narrates the answer to the queen's question. His father was a marriage swindler. The chapter concludes with a full revelation. Seisi explains that his father was a villain. He possessed a special skill that put even an average person on level with prodigies. He would woo rich women, pleasure them, and make them his. The source of Seisi's own manipulative genius is finally revealed to be his father's dark legacy.